get started here, we're going to talk about the small business problem, which I mentioned kind of in the beginning there, but we're going to talk about what that really is and how almost all of us have experienced it. And then we're going to talk about the different solutions out there. And then we're also going to talk about some tools that you can use to build systems that help you generate monthly revenue with your business. And we're also going to talk about how to automate sales in your business by using the tools of a membership website. So we're going to look at both the technical side of things and the strategy side of things. So just to get started, I'll go through this so briefly because we've got a lot of info. Again, my name's Sean Vossler. Started in business raising good old pheasants on a pheasant farm with my brother and on a farm, and so that was a great way to start with business. That was about almost 15 years ago now. Wow, I'm feeling old. Then went to school, took a lot of graphic and web design classes, graduated from college, started working for a web design firm, which wasn't the most fun. If you have ever been micromanaged, then you can relate to how I felt in that kind of environment. Wasn't exactly my cup of tea, so decided to start my own business, which was a lot of fun. Like anybody on this call who started their own business or have their own business now, know there's a lot of joy you get out of starting your own business, but there's also that catch-22 of, okay, well, I've got my own business now. How do I stop working 70 hours a week and actually, maybe take a day off every couple months? So that was the dilemma I was facing. So actually sold off that part of my business and started just doing consulting. So I started working with many of the leaders in the internet marketing niche, building out membership websites and doing all kinds of fun technical stuff with that. So I got to learn a lot of the strategy that goes on to the online world. And what was cool was I was able to learn those techniques, but also I had the experience of starting my own business and how that all tied together. So had an offline business and then learned about doing an online business. And that brings me into where I am now. I work with businesses to help develop continuity systems into their business, and also with other coaches and consultants and how to supplement their main core products and services with a continuity system. So that's enough about me. Let's talk a little bit here about the state of business and workers today. So we all kind of fit in that category of either we're owning a small business or working in a business. And I found some of these statistics pretty interesting. But this one is pretty telling. 55% of people surveyed said they were dissatisfied with their jobs. So they're not necessarily happy. So I think if you're in a conversation with somebody, there's a 50% chance they're not going to like their job. So we've all been there. We've probably had jobs we weren't very satisfied with. So that's a trend today. And then also 1 in 3 professionals who work more, are actually work more than 50 hours a week. And we've all found ourselves there too, especially if you're a business owner. 50 hours a week sounds like a great week, right? And then this one was interesting. If you're working, we're actually working more and making less per hour. So this is more for the corporate workers. It takes more to earn $1 these days. So adjusting for inflation, we're working more and making less per year on average. And then 3 out of 4 Americans feel stressed out at work. I almost feel like that should be 4 out of 4. I think everybody feels a little bit of stress, and the survey here I found it said that 3 out of 4 did, and then 1 out of 4 actually said it's the most stressful thing in their lives. So it goes without saying, work obviously either for someone else or for yourself can be challenging at times. So let's look real quick at why running a small business can be such a challenge. And we'll get right into the content after this. But here is what you've probably experienced as a small business owner, and I know I have. Like, this was my biggest pain point, was that I felt almost like I was stuck in my business. I was working 50, 60 hours a week and ultimately finding that I wasn't too happy with my boss, which was myself, because I kept getting more work in, and that was great, but you can only do so much work in a week's time or a day's time. So I ran into this issue here, and what it breaks down to is, okay, the top line here is the amount of work you can do in a given time. You can only do so much work, in a week or a day or an hour, but your workload, if you start a business or you start consulting, is going to increase over time. So, you're working with client A and they say, hey, love your work, love working with you. I'm going to recommend you to B and client B and C. So you get those two clients, and slowly but surely your workload passes up the amount of work you can handle. And then where this red line comes in is your work quality actually begins to suffer because you're taking on more than you can handle, but you're not sure what else you can do. You can't work 150 hours a week. So that's the cause that we run into, is we take on more than we can chew sometimes because we get really excited about getting new work. So that really is the problem. And this is kind of the way I've mapped it out is, okay, most of us, we have a skill or knowledge and we charge for our time. So for me, it was building websites. I charged for my time to build those websites. I just repeated that over and over again. It really led to a lack of consistent income. So anybody who on this call who's a freelancer, or a writer, or a developer, or designer, or you're a coach, you know you've experienced that feast and famine that comes with this type of work. You have, 1 week or 1 month, you may have 10 clients and you're up to your eyeballs in work, and then the next month there's crickets, and you're trying to scrap for work and income's not coming in, and that's a big problem. 85% of small businesses fail in the first year. We've all seen that statistic, and it's pretty clear that a big part of that is lack of consistent income. If you know somebody who started a business, or you started a business, you felt that pain where they've started their business, they're rolling good, and then they have a 5-week dry spell, and they can't pay their bills, or they can't pay an invoice, and they have to shut things down. Not a fun outcome. Yeah. So, the key here that we want to get into is this predictable income and how you can build in a system that basically sets up a monthly income for your business. So with this predictable income, obviously that's the end goal, and that's a great thing. But here are some of the perks. Obviously, if you can plan out, say you can guarantee yourself, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, you can plan to hire people to work for you, and you're going to have the income to pay them. You can outsource, work because you're going to be able to pay for that. You can invest in your business more along the terms of advertising and things like that. And so it's a very reciprocal thing. The more you can guarantee that you're going to make, even if it's not, say, $100,000 a month, as long as there's consistent income, you can plan to do these things. You don't have to worry about losing that big client because you know you're going to make a certain amount per month. We've talked here a little bit about, predictable income is great. So how do we actually build that into our businesses, right?
And Sean, just a couple, if you don't mind, a couple of things, because boy, I tell you, you really hit home to me on a couple of those slides there, because I remember back when I first started doing the membership sites that I was in a business that, I would sell my product that I had, and at the end of the month, we would close, and I'd get my check. And then it was like, holy cow. I never forget that feeling. I'd wake up the first of the month and go, dang, I got to do all that all over again. and the common, the common saying is, basically we become unemployed at the end of each month, and we have to start all over again. And the big aha to me was I was driving out in Texas, and I saw these oil wells. And I'm telling you, it was like a light switch. I went, holy cow! And maybe this is a simple thought, but I'm telling you, it was just it was a turning point in my life. Yeah. When I looked at that oil well, and I went, well, wait a minute. Once you dig the hole, it just keeps, the oil just keeps coming out. I mean, it's a true pipeline, so to speak. And to have something that, like I can tell you right now exactly, at least how much money I'm going to make next month, because my continuity, my memberships, that's already in the bank. I mean, so to speak. I mean, sure, I could, I could make people, I could upset people and and could get everybody to leave, I guess, if I wanted to. But as long as I do what I say I'm going to do and and take care of them and bring them good content or whatever it is that you would do in your membership website, that money's in the bank. So then we don't have to worry about, and I'm just going to pick a random number here that people can deal with. We don't have to worry about the first $10,000 of income. That's in the bank. Now our mastermind meetings, like when I meet with Sean, and we meet at our mastermind meeting, we don't talk about the first 10,000. That's in the bank. We talk about, okay, where do we go from here? Where do we get the next 10,000? Then we have 20,000 a month, and then that 20,000 is a given. And then we go, okay, where do we get the next 10,000? And it's so nice to come into the office on the first of the month, and I already know. And I'm just using this because it's, the good Lord's blessed us, and it's actually a much larger number than that. But I already know the first 10,000, that's in the bank. It's coming in, and it's just an awesome way. I can't tell you the relief it gives knowing I don't have to go out there and sweat out my mortgage payment or my car payment or my my kids' college or my vacation, or that's already covered. Mm-hmm. And it's just an awesome, awesome, awesome way to run a business.
Well, and two, we have a lot of mutual people we work with. The one thing I've always noticed with folks who build in these kinds of systems, and what's great is we're going to go into how like anybody can do this with their current business, is that you don't have that kind of stress that you get when there's that big client in the middle of your whole business that if they left, you're out. That's a big scary thing that I dealt with. I had one or two big clients that if they left, my whole business would fall. So that's another big, you hit the nail on the head. You can take away some of that big stress that comes inherently with owning a business by building these kinds of systems. So that's some great insights there. I had to put this in here because AT&T, they've been around for 100 and something years.